What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new episode series or a series of episode reviews for Demon Slayer season 3. With me, as always, I have Blue Spade, and this is the first episode, which is, of course, in the, I guess you'd say, in the tradition of what Demon Slayer is doing now is a longer episode, like kind of what we got with season 2. With I think the first episode being about the same length. I think it was like 40 some minutes.
Yeah, season 2 did the exact same thing with the Entertainment District arc. However, this episode technically came out a month earlier if people were lucky enough to watch it in theaters. It was technically released. It was edited with the final 2 episodes of the Entertainment District arc, and then they aired this one special episode alongside with it at the end. But yeah, overall, this episode is mostly setting up for what we're going to be seeing for the season, which is Tanjiro getting into the swordsmith village. However, I'm pretty sure that this is just mostly going to be Tanjiro with the other 2 Hashiras, and apparently Zenitsu and Inosuke aren't going to be accompanying him this time around.
That will at least be kind of interesting, considering they've accompanied him throughout the series, most of the series so far. So it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, his dynamic with the other 2 Hashiras. I think it was the Love Hashira, and then this other character that gets introduced at the end of the episode.
Yeah, he's the Mist Hashira. I think it was the Love Hashira. It was a Mitsuri, and the Mist Hashira is Michiro Tokito. I think
so.
Yeah, but we're also introduced to the remaining Upper Moon demons who work under Muzan. Of course, like the episode picks up immediately after the events of the Entertainment District arc. So Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, after that battle with Gyutaro and Daki, they pretty much pass out into a coma for at least 2 months.
Yeah, and then we kind of cut to what's going on with the upper rank demons in Muzan, and it kind of goes to, I guess, Asuka's perspective, where I guess Muzan like summoned them all there into that like space. I thought this whole scene was. I mean, it was a little bit off-putting with the way it was edited, and just I feel like they kind of overdid it with some of the effects. Because at times it felt like there was way too many cuts, and it did not need to cut as many times as it did. I don't know. It felt really disorienting to watch it, to be honest. The rest of the episode isn't like that, though, and I feel like maybe it was done that way to kind of give the viewer like this idea of like, oh, this is how it would feel, I guess, to be here. But it's just kind of, like I said, it's just kind of hard to watch at times because of how many things is kind of being thrown at you at once with all these different effects and all the these cuts that really, in my opinion, feel kind of unnecessary.
I don't know if it has anything to do with them like make it because it was a theoretical release at the time. Maybe that might have been the reason why they put so much effort into this scene in particular. But yeah, I kind of do feel like it kind of overplayed their hand a bit with some of its effects. Not to mention like the whole entire, the visual dimension of this area they call the Infinity Castle that they're in. Mm-hmm. Most characters would be walking sideways. Muzan, you would see him like standing upside down.
That's the other thing that I noticed too, and I get what they're doing, but it's also really confusing to watch at times. Because a character will be standing upright and then they'll be like upside down all of a sudden, and then the camera will be at like a completely different angle.
Yeah, but yeah, so mainly this scene, of course, introduces us to the remaining upper rank demons, other than Akaza, who we were introduced to during the Mugen Train arc. I think I forgot the other 2 demons, but I think the 2 other demons that got introduced. Well, Doma was introduced like very late in the last season, who was the one responsible who brought in Gyutaro and Daki as upper ranked demons in the previous season. And then there's this one other demon who's almost like looks almost like a samurai demon slayer of sorts. His name is Kokushibo, but his appearance is what puzzles me the most. First off, like, he has 6 eyes, but his appearance looks like something is what we saw like in the flashbacks too, particularly like what we see later on in the episode. Not to mention that he also has like a flame scar, like on his forehead, similar to Tanjiro's.
Yeah, I am really wondering if there's some kind of relation with Tanjiro.
Yeah, and this is also like the same, figure that haunted Muzan in the past. Unless I could be wrong, it could be a different character, but he's physically similar to this person in the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Now I'm pretty sure we could get some more info on this particular character. I mean, we do get like a little dream sequence that Tanjiro has a little bit later, but we'll get to that in a minute. But basically, just Muzan summons all of these upper ranked demons to inform them about Gyutaro and Daki's death, and of course, like, admonishing them for their failure to, kill the Demon Slayer Corps, and trying to find the blue spider lily that he's been searching for ever since the last season.
Yeah, and they kind of each of the demons, they kind of bicker amongst themselves, and you kind of, I guess, get an idea of their whole dynamic, I suppose.
Yeah, apparently Akaza is has been there the longest, but of course Doma is the one who he's recently been promoted into a higher rank than Akaza, which pretty much kind of pisses the guy off, every time like Doma's next to him. But of course, like, Kokushibo is like obviously the highest ranking of them all. So, and you can see, like, he's obviously skilled with the weapon, of course. But I guess we'll have to see like which one of these demons are going to end up fighting the main cast of the season. I guess. But yeah, overall, it's like, I don't know. Akaza, Doma, and Kokushibo I can understand as being the most threatening, but I think the other two, one is like almost like a pot-looking demon, and the other one is like just another looking demon who just hides in a stairwell.
Yeah, we kind of get to see some of, I guess, what they can do in the new opening, but as for now, we don't really know what exactly they're capable of. I mean, especially was the weird one, especially is the one that's kind of just afraid the whole time, or just like hiding. I was kind of wondering like what exactly his abilities would be.
Yeah, especially if he is an upper ranked demon. But I mean, I guess we'll probably not know unless if he is going to be prominently featured in this season. But we'll have to see. But yeah, it's just most of the time they're just bickering, and moves on admonishing them for their failures to complete any of their tasks in particular. And then of course by the end of it, they're all sent their separate ways to I guess one of them provides information that they might have information of where the demon slayers are, or wherever this blue spider lily flower that they're looking for. But it's hard to tell like what they're gonna end up doing.
Yeah. Well, they're probably gonna be. I would assume that most of them are probably gonna be antagonists for, I guess, potential future seasons if we ever get them.
Yeah, you get like you could say like a flashback dream sequence of course that of that Hashira from the past that wears the same type of earrings that Tanjiro currently wears. But it's of course like it's the demon slayer that looks like the demon we saw in the previous scene. Now it's hard, I can't really say for sure, but if it's really the same person, I mean, it's possible, but it's kind of it's difficult to tell whether or not if he's these two figures have a relation to each other, and of course, what Muzan really has against this person.
Yeah. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of questions about like what the importance of this character is, because he's been teased quite a bit, and we still don't know exactly what, like we mentioned before, like what he has to do with Tanjiro, and how he's potentially like even related to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that this Demon Slayer is not. I guess he's not really related to Tanjiro by blood, as we can see. Like this other person who looks exactly like Tanjiro, but it looks like it's one of Tanjiro's descendants.
Yeah, I was kind of taken aback at first when I saw the scene, because I thought it actually was Tanjiro, because he looks identical to him almost. It looks like just a little bit older, but it's some relative or descendant of Tanjiro, I suppose.
Yeah. Obviously, the only difference is he doesn't have that little flame-looking scar on his forehead that Tanjiro has. So, but of course, Tanjiro wakes up from the dream soon afterwards, and of course, he's been told by the medics that he and Zenitsu and Inosuke have been out for at least 2 months in a coma after the events of the Entertainment District arc.
Yeah, and then Kanao has also been waiting for him to wake up as well. And we don't really get much interaction between him and Kanao either, which I was kind of hoping we would, because their characters haven't really had much interaction. But sadly, there wasn't really much of that.
Yeah, and of course, soon afterwards, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke all get sent into separate missions, which is of course like which is pretty much setting up to what Tanjiro is going to be doing without Zenitsu and Inosuke going forward for this next arc, where for how long this is going to last.
Yeah, basically Tanjiro first, I think, finds out he's gotten a bunch of these angry letters from one of the swordsmith one of the swordsmiths that forges his swords. Of course, he's upset about what the damage that was done to his sword after I guess the Entertainment District arc.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, I don't think his sword got as damaged as it did back back at the end of the Mugen Train arc. But apparently, it's got some wear and tear in it that we don't know about, that pretty much upset, I guess, Tanjiro's personal swordsmith, to the point, like you said, he sent him threatening letters, as usual, because, of how carelessly he uses his sword.
Yeah.
So of course, Tanjiro is told to meet with him at the swordsmith village, and I guess discuss with them in person to at least try to reforge or fix his sword, I guess. So eventually, like, Tanjiro alongside Nezuko are taking over to the swordsmith village, alongside I guess these I forgot what those people are called. Like, I can't really say they're ninjas or whatnot, but they pretty much like take Tanjiro to the village in secret.
Aren't they called like finders or something?
I think they are. I completely forgot what they were called. They pretty much help out at the Demon Slayer mansion, and of course the Butterfly Mansion that Tanjiro and the others have been taken care of. So eventually, like, Nezuko meets with the village chief, who of course reassures Tanjiro that he'll have Tanjiro's sword reforged more properly this time around. And soon afterwards, Tanjiro runs into Mitsuru, who's of course the love Hashira, and of course we do get like a little interaction between the three characters. Of course, Mitsuru treating Nezuko like she's like a little child. Well, of course, Nezuko's in her small child form for the majority of this episode, and then of course Tanjiro also meets with another character who we haven't really seen since the first season, who's of course I think what's his name is Genya, who's the younger brother of the Wind Hashira. But of course, we don't really get to see much of Genya other than like we see him just like he's trying to like pull his tooth out for whatever reason. I don't know the reason why he's doing that, but of course, so when Tanjiro tries to confront him about that, Genya just pretty much storms off and just I guess like tosses Tanjiro away.
Yeah. Speaking of Mitsuru as well, we also kind of get some more information about her character. Considering, I guess, that she's going to be a pretty major character in this arc, we get more about who she, or like, well, why she joined the Demon Slayer Corps. And it's, I guess it's not too surprising considering she's the love Hashira, but she basically just reveals to Tanjiro that she joined because she was trying to find a husband. And then, like, I guess, like, Tanjiro made some kind of impression on her, like, I don't know, because she seems like she kind of was a bit flustered or just, I'm not exactly sure what the deal is there, but yeah, she kind of, it seems like she was kind of like flirting with him a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of most of what we get from their interaction. Of course, she, like you said, she treats Nezuko like she's almost like, I guess, a small child, but I mean, she is in a small child form. Yeah, I don't know. I found it pretty entertaining. It was pretty funny just watching them, just watching their antics, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, as for Mitsuru's backstory, I would assume that she has a lot more going on behind the scenes rather than her just wanting a husband. But soon afterwards, Mitsuru hints at Tanjiro that there's like some kind of secret weapon hidden somewhere in the village that can apparently make him stronger. So Tanjiro decides, to go out the next day searching for this so-called weapon, and then Tanjiro runs into the Mist Hashira, Tokito, apparently getting into an argument with like a little kid. But what's also strange that he sees another figure next to him who is apparently like the same the Demon Slayer that he saw back in his vision or his dream, and the episode pretty much cuts off from there.
Yeah, I thought it was a okay episode. Is decent enough introduction to the new arc. Like I said, I felt like the initial scene was it was way too much. I felt like there didn't really need to be that many cuts and that many different like camera angles and all these effects thrown in. I felt it was just way too over the top. But most of the rest of the episode I thought was pretty decent. Like, just like I said, as an introduction. Not really any action or anything like that this episode, just kind of catching up with the main cast and just giving you an idea of, I guess, what to expect for this arc in particular.
Yeah, I also thought it was a good way for us to, I guess, reintroduce us to some of the characters, catching up to what's been happening since then. Introducing us to the remaining upper ranked demons for the first time since Gyutaro Ondaki's death in the last season. Not to mention reintroducing us to a couple of the Hashiras, and not to mention Genya, who we haven't seen since the first season.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if he's going to be at all important in this. And we also get a new opening, of course, which is done by Man with Mission and Millet. I actually liked it. It was pretty good. I already knew about it, of course, before the season came out because it was leaked online. But I like it. I'm not sure which opening so far is my favorite. I think they've all been pretty good. So I don't really have one I really dislike, I guess.
I mean, I still personally like Lisa's opening. From
that's probably the best one. But they've all been pretty good. But yeah, I thought this one was pretty decent too. They've never really disappointed with the openings. So, but yeah, I thought it was a fine episode. It's again another pretty lengthy one, and it definitely felt like they took their time, kind of setting things up. I guess. I don't really have too much else to say about it, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
I mean, I don't even know how many episodes this season is going to end up covering. Yeah. I mean, if you remember, it's the last season lasted over, I think it was 11 episops.
It was like 11 episodes.
Yeah. Well, if you're not counting them, doing like recapping the Mugen Train arc as an actual full season. I mean, I really can't personally count that as an actual season, because technically he came out as a film, and then they just decided to cut it into separate episodes for whatever reason. But yeah, it's just the one disappointing thing about the last season was it was pretty short in comparison with the first season, which was 2 cours in length. This I'm hoping this will hopefully match that in some ways, but honestly, as of right now, I don't know how many episodes this is going to contain.
Yeah, I mean, considering they've just been advertising this particular arc, I mean, I guess it depends on how long the arc is, when we're considering how many episodes, I guess, might be covered. Maybe it's a longer arc. Maybe it could last a full season, or maybe it'll just be long enough to last 1 cour, or just, maybe a shorter season. But I guess it depends. Like, we hadn't really heard anything else about any other content besides this particular arc, so I don't know. I mean, that it leads me to believe it's going to either be like it's just going to be 13 episodes and it's just going to be this one arc, or it's going to be longer than that. There's a few things that could happen. I mean, the arc might be longer, I'm not sure. So maybe it could last a full season, or it might be a shorter arc and it could only last like 13 episodes. Yeah.
I mean, I did hear some unconfirmed reports that it's possible it might be a 2 cour season, or maybe it might be 20 episodes at length. But like I said, there's no concrete evidence as to how many episodes the season is going to end up covering. I mean, I hope it's going to be lengthy, but I mean, I guess we'll have to see how this season pans out, depending on how much they're going to end up covering. But yeah, it was a good way to introduce us to the new season. I wasn't expecting too much action, to be honest. I mean, and obviously, like the way the Entertainment District arc ended and how much they put into that, that last part, I'm expecting something similar to happen by the end of the season as well.
Yeah, some big climactic fight. But yeah, guys, that all being said, I guess until next time, we will see you all later.